On this week's episode, we're going to discuss the software that Linux is missing, a community wish list, and a new piece of Linux hardware that's going to blow your mind. Welcome to episode number 346 of Destination Linux, your favorite video podcast. My name is Jill.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Ryan.
Also in this episode, we're going to discuss Michael's awesome adventures at the Ubuntu Summit, how it went, and what were some highlights he wants to share. Now, let's get the show on the road toward Destination Linux.
Our community feedback this week comes from Olivier. They say, I've been a big fan of the show for about 4 years now, but recently I've just gotten to a very modest Linux adventure that made me even more grateful for the show. Thank you for sharing that, and we are so happy you've been listening for 4 years. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Go on to say, shortly after hearing Ryan raving about BlendOS, I've stumbled upon the Fedora podcast episode about immutable distros. Even though, as I understand, I'm not the target audience for those, I've been using Linux on my main laptop for more than 10 years now, but I've never really moved beyond the state from a very basic user. I decided to give it a try and install Fedora Kinoite.
Not that, no.
Kinoite. Yeah.
Dynamite.
Kinoite.
That's great.
However you say
Okay.
it.
First of all, I don't like the correct way. I want to do your way now. So it's
Yeah.
Kinoite.
Kinoite.
It's definitely that one.
All right, cool. They decided to install that on their home laptop. I have to confess that this is a bit of a bumpy ride at the beginning, having to figure out by trial and error whether and which of my work apps should be installed as Flatpak, in a toolbox, or layered. But in the course of doing so, I realized that I was vaguely familiar with all these terms and many more that helped me find my way to this immutable OS, almost entirely thanks to listening to you talking about them over the years.
Nice.
Aww.
Nice.
So I guess this is just another big thanks for the great work type of email. I hope I'll be able to listen to you all for many more years to come. All the best. What an amazing email.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending this in. I absolutely am in love with BlendOS. Michael's in love with BlendOS too. And
I am for the most part. I'm a type of person who likes to jump around in different distributions, so I don't always have the same
no,
distro.
you don't.
You're a
What?
professional
You're such a
distro
liar.
hopper, Michael. We know that.
Yeah. You don't even
that's so
update your
good.
system, let alone hop around anywhere, you know? Like it's just not
I just wanted to see what would happen if I said that. It's perfect. Okay. But also, yeah, BlendOS is great. I even interviewed Rudra, who makes BlendOS
Yay.
at the Ubuntu Summit. So it was very cool. We'll get to that later. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for the feedback. And I'm very happy that we're able to help you. We've also done some, if you haven't seen it, we have an episode about immutable systems. You can check that out. We'll have that linked in the show notes for more details where we go into like all of the specifics. But I'm glad you enjoy it, and the few more years to come, definitely that is on the roadmap.
Yeah. You're so awesome, Olivier. Thank you so much for this beautiful email. And so happy we could help you with your Linux journey to learning, immutable Linux distros. And thank you so much for sharing your Linux journey. And so your curiosity of Linux has actually moved you to the next level. You are no longer a beginner.
You're no longer a Padawan like
Yeah.
Michael. You are now a master.
Whoa. I'm a hardware Padawan.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were just
Yeah, it's
Padawan.
very different.
Period.
That's a different show and a different topic. I am definitely not a Padawan when it comes to Linux.
I'm the
Thank you.
Padawan when it comes to Linux.
In comparison to us,
you all. Yeah.
yes, I suppose. But
You guys have been
you've
in it
also
longer.
been in Linux for a little while, so it's okay if you say that you're,
It's okay if I can't pronounce Kinoite.
no, okay.
Hey, you said
Technically-
it right.
So technically, it is Kinoite. However, I mean, that's like I think it's a material of some kind. It's like a mineral of some kind. And then there's also another way of saying it's Kinoite, which is a French thing that comes from trees, something from trees. I don't remember exactly what it meant, or not French. What? I think it's Japanese. Never mind. It's Japanese. And it's something to do with trees. And it's interesting because they use OS tree to make Kinoite. And I want it to be the Kinoite thing. Before I heard you say Kinoite. And then we're going now.
Now you're seeing the whole commercial, the branding.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
of it.
That's the only thing that it can be now. So for this point forward, anytime we ever say it on the show, especially with Jill, we're going to have to be that way. So Jill, go ahead. Prove that what the correct pronunciation is.
Kinoite.
Jill.
Kinoite.
You gotta.
Okay. I realize I haven't said it in a very long time. Kinoite.
There we go.
It's perfect.
So when I said correct pronunciation, I think she interpreted it as like a genuine correct pronunciation. Yeah. But I meant DL correct.
Okay, DL. Yes. Kinoite.
Is that a new thing?
It's dynamite.
Is it correct or is it DL correct?
Yeah, why not? It's DL correct.
Yes,
that should be a t-shirt.
DL.
I got it DL correct.
That would be perfect.
Yeah. You know what's interesting too, before we move on real quick, the immutable OS and the fact that, you know, we've talked about this isn't necessarily something a new user should jump into, and they're not a new user. So I think this is perfect to go explore, but the new users shouldn't just jump into this kind of like arch, if you will. But that doesn't mean, even if you are a new user, you can't go jump into it. You just have to know there's going to be challenges. There's going to be road bumps. There's going to be things you're going to have to spend time figuring out. And some people are really cool with that, or you can just set up in a VM and then it doesn't mess up your old system. So it's really cool to go take those risks sometimes and try something you're not comfortable with, even in the Linux world, because you're going to learn a ton from it. And when I think back on the moments I learned the most in Linux, it was when I was taking those risks, usually about an hour before our show started.
Yes, and that's the time. If you have something to do in an hour, don't do what Ryan does. Do what he says to do, which is test things out in a virtual machine, and that way you can have an actual like safe experience, and you not have to worry about anything breaking. Don't what he actually does, which is change everything last minute, and then terrify me of like, oh, we need to start now in 15 minutes. Well, I'm installing my new system. What?
But see, I had a safety net. I knew that if I broke it bad enough, I could call Michael and be like, what command do I use again to fix this? And there's a good chance.
Yes.
Oh, there was that one time we were at your house and you broke something and you're like, hey, Michael, do that thing. And you handed me the laptop. I fixed it. And you're like, well, how did you do
Yeah, I remember that. I think I bet you. I was like, I bet you can't fix this because I spent like an hour on it. And then I handed him my laptop and it's like.
I think I fixed it in 2 minutes.
Yeah. I'm like, you jerk. You jerk.
That's the thing about being an expert. It helps sometimes, but it takes a while to get there.
Yep. Well, we want you, the community, to ask us questions. So make sure you send in your questions or your comments to tuxdigital.com/contact. Visit there, fill out the form. We love hearing from you. You are a big part of this show. Every episode,
absolutely,
we highlight you, the community,
sometimes
as the beginning
more
of this
than
show.
once.
Yeah. So get in there. Ask us some questions. And for our question of the week this week is, what's your favorite distro of 2023 and why? So if you don't have a topic in mind, answer that for us. What is your favorite distro of 2023 and
I like
why?
how you added,
that's nice.
Like this, and our question of the week this week, as if we've ever done that before. This is the first time we've ever done it, and I think it's a great idea.
I just made it. I made it.
Yeah, that's great. I'm
awesome.
I'm definitely interested. And
are you going to send
do
in yours, Michael?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
All right.
And then I think we should all send it in and we can do like a survey and see like what has the percentage of the most liked or the best of the year and do like some kind of end of the year awards or something. I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm just thinking out loud at this point, but I like that.
By the way, Michael, I'm going to add a question of the week for our audience into the show.
Good
forward.
idea. I can't believe I never thought of this before. Good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
That was excellent.
You know, some people collect Pokemon cards. Others collect baseball cards.
Sure.
I've never told people this before, have a little bit of a collection of UFC trading cards.
Nice.
You know,
I didn't even know those existed.
Yeah, they're out there. And collections are vast as people's interests. You can collect things for nearly every hobby out there. However, Michael on this show has the strangest hobby of all.
I have many hobbies and many collections.
No,
what are you talking about?
This one's very weird. You collect domain names. You collect domain names like nobody I've ever seen in my life.
That's like, just ridiculous.
That's true.
That's ridiculous. I only have about 70. What's
100, like my kids would say. They're like, I want 100 of this because that's what it's not just 70. Like Pokemon, Michael has to collect them all. Literally, and I mean this, any discussion we have with Michael about a new business thing always ends with, we should buy a domain for that. That's Michael's like input of let's buy a domain for that. He wants the .com, the .net, the .biz, the .community. He wants them all. He wants to collect them all because like they're going out of style.
Okay, that's a bit excessive. I do have a lot of domains, and those conversations have happened. But .biz, really?
That's the one that got you. That's the one you're like, I don't collect those.
I have 3.
Those are for plebs.
I still have 3.
Pleb collectors are the .biz. So as you can imagine, this gets quite expensive for us. But thankfully, I was able to find a solution for that, and that's where NameCheap comes in. NameCheap is a place where, as you guessed by their name, you can buy domains for cheap. Therefore,
That makes
NameCheap.
sense.
Yeah. And you can also host sites, and they have other services there as well. So if you want to be like Michael and collect domain names, or you're actually starting a business and just need one, I suggest going to NameCheap. This is where we get ours. And we have a link in the show notes where you can start your collection and support our show all at the same time. You can do both at the same time. In fact, they could probably go to a really clever URL that you probably bought, Michael.
I got a domain for this,
Yeah.
Of course
Ryan.
you do. What's that domain, Michael?
DestinationLinux.net/NameCheap.
See, the .net was the thing, but I wish it was .biz now, because then I've been like, oh, you did buy a .biz.
Well,
So .net.
I could add to
Destination
my
Linux.
collection, Ryan.
What about
Yeah.
.tv?
Yeah, no, don't encourage him, Jill.
Yeah.
So click that link and see if you can out-collect Michael. So this week, we're going to talk about something really fun and exciting. I mean, it was for Michael. He was there, but now we get to live vicariously through him. Michael attended the Ubuntu Summit this year. It's your second year attending the Ubuntu Summit.
That's true.
So you went back. So there's got to be something really special there to make you go back twice now to the Ubuntu Summit. And you represented Tux Digital. This is a big deal. This company is very important to many people around the world. And you represented us there at the Ubuntu Summit.
I appreciate you putting the pressure on me after I was already done with it.
Yeah,
Thank
now
you.
that you're gone. Did you feel like you represented us well? Let's just start there.
Aw.
I think I represented us fantastic because I did a lot of cool stuff, and I participated in many things that were related to the event itself, in addition to my own talk and all that. So I think fantastic, as well as the fact that I was up in like the garb of Tux Digital. So I had some polo shirts that had Tux Digital on it,
Beautiful.
and I was representing the whole time.
Polo shirt, not just
That's
a
right.
t-shirt?
Yeah.
That's right.
It's really nice.
Polo shirt. I'm going to
You have
go
to wear those in the next
full
episode.
professional, you know? Oh yeah, I will. I forgot about that, but I also, I wanted to wear that Ubuntu Summit shirt. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
but the next time I will wearing that.
Huh. Interesting. All right. So you say you represented us well, but I've been to events with you, Michael, and you have a tendency to dance at times. And I would not consider your dancing representing the Tux Digital brand really well. Did you?
It's okay that you're wrong about that. I dance well, therefore I represent well.
Did
So
you
I don't-
dance this time?
No, unfortunately, there was no
Yes.
opportunity
Thank
to
goodness.
dance, except that I did find there after I left, there was the after party they had, which was really fun. I couldn't stay very long because I had a really early flight, and then I find out that there was like even more stuff with it that became like there was some kind of EDM dance that happened, and I was able to attend it, so I was disappointed. So I couldn't show off my dance moves, unfortunately, but I might have a clip or two to put into the video of people enjoying their time, including one person who was wearing a Minotaur hat or
Oh, nice.
mask of some kind. And it was pretty cool.
dope. So you didn't get to dance. That's
Unfortunate.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
but you did get to represent us well. And the whole EDM dancing thing is kind of fascinating to me. So there was an EDM dance party.
Apparently.
And I imagine the dance moves on display there were incredible.
You'll see.
Aw.
You'll see.
But I mean, it was
Good answer.
definitely, the videos were fun. I do think that
No,
they
that's
enjoyed
awesome.
their
That sounds
themselves.
fun.
But
Yeah.
I think that we'll get to the after party at some point in this, I guess. But there was a lot of cool stuff. The first, I did a vlog, in fact. So I'm still in the process of releasing it. By the time this comes out, it should all be out. But the vlog was a very grandiose idea of vlogging every single day of the conference and releasing a new video every time. And that worked out for the first 3 days, which are already out. But the other 2, there's a lot of content and I need to have more time to edit it all. So those are not out yet, but they might be by the time you watch this.
You did a good job getting the 3 out.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
that was
That's faster than Michael's ever released anything.
I did have help with Wendy.
Oh, well, that explains
with
it.
Thank you, Wendy.
Wendy's amazing.
I still did my own editing. I still did some of the editing, but
Thanks,
she did
Wendy.
help out. So that is really the reason why it even happened in the first place.
Aw. So, Michael, besides filming people dancing, what were some of the key highlights of the event in your mind?
I didn't film it. I just happened to have the videos because they
if he
shared
was
it.
there, he wouldn't have been filming anything.
I would be on the dance floor
Yeah.
busting a move
He
and
can't
whatnot.
stop.
I would be tearing up the dance floor.
Jill, have you seen him dance?
Yes, I have at scale.
Isn't it embarrassing?
And it was amazing, wasn't it, Jill?
Yes.
Who did you say yes to,
Actually-
Jill?
Actually, no, you did a good job. You did like a hip hop rap kind of breakdance thing at scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But here's the best part. So there was a not last year, but 2022 there was a special concert sort of thing with MC Frontalot, and who's by the way fantastic.
He's awesome.
But no one was dancing, and I was like, you know what? It'd be fun to just have some random nerd just dance for no reason. And there was this dance that I told Ryan, like, because we were about to walk out. I was like, oh no, I want to do this dance. And then Ryan's like, okay, fine, I'll film it. And I didn't tell Ryan something very important. I had no idea how to do that dance and never even thought about trying before. So I got a video on YouTube with the sound off, looking at the potential moves of how you do it, and then watched it one time and immediately tried it. And I think I did very good
For our
with the
audience's
amount of
knowledge here, what is the name of that dance, Michael?
I don't think we should say that name of the
Oh.
dance.
It's a gang dance
That's why I don't think we should say
that
it.
we could have got popped for. That's all I'm saying. We could have got popped for you doing that dance if the wrong people saw it. You know?
How many of the wrong people you think have been at a nerd conference?
I don't think anyone knows.
All right. Sorry, Jill. We interrupted you. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Michael, what were some of the key highlights of the event for you in your mind?
Okay, so there were a lot of cool things. First of all, I got to do a follow-up with Mark Shuttleworth. We did an interview, and it was really interesting. And at one point, I made a joke about how I updated my system. And for a second, he didn't know what I was talking about. And then he's like, oh, I remember
He's
now.
like,
And he
"You're the
started
one."
laughing about it. He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, you're that one. Okay. And,
You're that one.
And that, unfortunately, that wasn't in during the interview. That was just walking around in the conference. So I don't have footage of that part. But it was really fun. I also got to interview a lot more people, and we're going to be releasing them on the Destination Linux channel. And but there needs to be edited because they are quite long, and a few of them. One of them was anywhere from 15 minutes to 36 minutes is what they go for. And what's funny is that the Shuttleworth interview ended with 3% left battery, and that was fantastic.
Oh, thank
because
God.
I had a
Yeah.
if that would have ended, if I had lost the battery right before the end, that would have been so irritating. But luckily, all good.
Oh.
Have all the footage.
So that happens a lot more than people realize. There was an interview where Gardner was interviewing me, Gardner Bryant, and we were in a hotel and we were doing the interview. And literally, as we say our last line, goodbye, our final thought, the camera shutter shuts off and the battery dies. But it was like
nice.
right at that moment. Like, you know,
Nice.
it happens, man. It's good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah.
Good timing, though.
And it was funny because Cubicle Nate also was at the summit,
Yay,
and
Cubicle.
he was watching the battery die and was very nervous about it
no.
dying.
Oh, my gosh.
But he also couldn't indicate to me, because it was being recorded, he couldn't indicate to me that it was dying without saying something and his voice being picked up and ruining like an interview or like one of the answers and stuff. So he didn't want to say anything, and I wasn't ever looking over in his direction to see if he had any signals or whatever. So as soon as it turned off, he's like, oh, I'm so glad you were done now because they were about to die.
That's interesting. I would have kicked you in your shin. So Nate, next time,
Yes, I'm
just
sure you
FYI,
would have.
kick him in his shin, and
But that also
lets him
would
know.
interrupt it because I would say ow.
Yeah.
But I still get to kick you in your shin.
Yeah,
so
I
it's like
probably would say ow.
bonus footage, I feel like, for people.
But there was a lot of cool stuff. I mean, for the things that I did, there are also some stuff that people might not be aware of. So there was a really cool special presentation that they did. So I mentioned this on the show in the past, but I couldn't say what it was because it hadn't been fully guaranteed that they were going to do it. So they tested it the night before to see if it worked, and then they did, and it did work. So it was a sort of like a challenge they made where people got to pilot an underwater drone that was open source based, and you used a PlayStation controller in order to control it. And you had like a challenge to find certain rings in the pool that was there at the hotel. And it was a lot of fun. And I also emceed that and talked with the people as they're playing, teaching them how to do it and all that sort of stuff. And it was a lot of fun. That was like an hour and a half or so. And there was a lot of people that came in and did it. So it was a lot of fun, not only in the idea of it, but also in the just having fun with people who were at the event, trying out the stuff. Although I didn't get a chance to play with it myself. So that's a little bit of a bummer.
That's the worst part about hosting and doing all that
Yeah.
work is you don't get to have all the same fun. But I just
Exactly.
have a $1 billion idea, Michael. I don't
What's
think
that?
here, Wendy, don't share this on the show. It's a $1 billion idea. Okay. Cut this part.
Cut it.
Michael, what we do is we have underwater battle bots.
There we go. Yeah.
Underwater
it.
battle bots.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it'd be brilliant.
Although, and mine's going to have a flamethrower.
I wonder how that works. I guess I could put a bubble of some disbursement material.
Jill's trying to figure out
Trying to make
stupidity.
sense.
She's
I'm just
trying
saying
to make
something that's
sense of it.
completely nonsensical.
Yeah.
But,
Have
yeah.
a flamethrower.
But there was so many cool things,
Yeah.
and there was also a community AMA. The Ubuntu Community Council did an AMA panel where you could ask whatever questions you wanted. I also hosted that and or moderated that. And speaking of that, that's kind of a funny topic because at the end of the event, there was kind of like a closing ceremony type of thing where they were thanking people for their support and the people who were helping out making the event happen. And they mentioned something that I had no idea what they were talking about because I wasn't using the term the entire time. I was saying host or MC. And the guy, Philip, who's running the event, one of the people who are running the event, said, we want to thank the moderators are there any moderators here? And I thought they were talking about someone who controlled stuff like moderation of things,
Like a Reddit moderator?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I realized that he said, oh, I guess they're not here. They're not here moderating anything. And I realized it was me. So I'm like, well, this is awkward. I guess I'm not going to put my hand up now.
You were, because you were moderating, but that was the first time you probably did it in that
technically
way.
that is the term, but I wasn't thinking about it at all.
Yeah.
So when he said it, and when I realized it, that's way too late. I'll just let it go.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So you've attended for 2 years now. And this sounds like an amazing event. And there's probably people thinking, hey, maybe I want to go to Ubuntu Summit now. I want to play with underwater open source submarines. That sounds baller.
That is awesome.
But who is this really
imagine.
for? Like, what is the target audience for the Ubuntu Summit? Is it like a general population thing? Is it more targeted towards people who are actually working on open source right at that moment in big projects? Or what's Ubuntu Summit
this
for?
is a great question because I also asked this question to Mark Shuttleworth. So I know what the target is completely.
Awesome.
And this is a conference that is not only an Ubuntu or Canonical conference, it's also meant for everyone. They even had people from Microsoft. They had people from Framework, from Fairphone, from Ubuntu Touch with UbiPorts.
Framework.
They had so many people there, including they had someone who represented DreamWorks, the animation company.
Yay.
And that was awesome. Got to interview that guy.
I heard Microsoft was
awesome.
there too.
Yes, but I didn't get to talk to that. I don't know.
Did you walk by
that
them
person.
with a little bit of sassy superiority?
They were not wearing a Microsoft T-shirt or anything, so I couldn't tell if I had known.
It could be like DEF CON where they play a game called find the FBI agent.
Yeah.
You guys
Find the
could play
Microsoft guy.
the Microsoft employee.
Yeah, and he happens to have just big Windows logo on his chest.
Right. He's
Oh,
like
I
looking
think
around.
I found him.
oh,
But
man.
no one had that. So
Okay.
I didn't know. I tried to get Morrow to point him out to me, but he didn't have time, and he couldn't. When at the time I found Morrow was one of the other people who were running the conference, and he's also a member of our community.
Yes.
And he couldn't tell me because he wasn't there at the time, and then I forgot to ask later. So unfortunately, I didn't get to give any like ribbing or jabs to the Microsoft guy. But next time, don't worry, people.
Do that.
Next
You'd
time.
give him a big hug and say, "We love you too, Microsoft."
I would give him a hug. You know, like one of those one arm hug where you're like, yeah, like that. So I'd be doing like that. But on the other hand, it was like a kick me sign that
Like a passive aggressive, like your hands would want to attack, but you're kind of holding it back. Like I want to. Okay, just let it go.
like I would spin him around, turn into a sleeper hold. You know.
So
Aw.
everyone who is involved in open
Kidding.
source
People, I'm kidding.
can attend.
Yes, actually, anybody who wants to attend at all is open to everyone, and it's very cool because it's open to anyone who wants to be a part of it. Whether you're traveling from across the world or like I did, or traveling from locally, anyone who just wants to show up. The registration is free, so if you're in the area, you can just go to it if you want to. And there's a lot of cool stuff. I met a bunch of people from Latvia at the conference. I also met people from various different projects, various different companies. And what's interesting about this was that it wasn't really, it's a different kind of conference. It wasn't like a conference where you would go to and there's like a bunch of vendors. There wasn't any vendors. And technically speaking, there was one vendor who had a table and had their stuff set up, but it wasn't really a vendor. It was UbiPorts, and they were just showing off Ubuntu Touch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also, this is what you missed out, Ryan.
No, not fair. Oh, I'm super jelly right now. Like,
Oh, nice.
when we go to scale, if you bring that thing, there's a very high likelihood I will steal it.
Yeah.
I will not bring that. Thank you for warning me. So,
Yes.
also, it would be in California during March. It would be no reason for a hoodie.
Yeah.
You'd never catch me. Who's that guy running away in the hoodie?
They're like, he doesn't stand out at all. This one person in a hoodie.
So,
But
so Michael, besides Mark Shuttleworth, who is one of the celebrities you met that you enjoyed talking to the most?
oh, okay. So I talked to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Interviewing and talking to were different because
Oh, yeah,
unfortunately,
that's true.
with
Yeah.
interviews require you to schedule them. So there was like a special interview room for us. So I could schedule a time to get the room and get the people get the interview. But it was very difficult to do that. So
Hey,
I
no
would.
one wants to hear the behind the scenes troubles you had. We're all jealous of you. We just want to know, who are you the most excited to talk to besides Mark Shuttleworth?
But I wanted to defend the amount of interviews. I got a lot of interviews, but I wanted to get more. I just wanted to defend. I just wanted people
We
to
get that.
understand
Yeah.
how much effort it was involved in doing all
So
this.
There's a lot of effort, folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
now I will brag about who I talked to. So,
Okay.
so of course, I got the talk with Mark Shuttleworth and the DreamWorks guy, like I already mentioned, which was really awesome. I had like a 36-minute interview with him. But I also got to talk with Frank from Nextcloud, the Rudra from Ubuntu Unity and Blend OS. Also, we had a lot of different. I didn't get to talk to a few people I wanted to, but I did hang out with those people. It wasn't like a interview kind of thing. And I met for the first time Popey, and I saw Wimpy again at the conference. So I hung out with Popey and Wimpy. For those who don't know, that's Alan Pope and Martin Wimpress. So if we call them Popey and Wimpy because everyone does. That's their nicknames. So there's also, I talked with Matthew from Lutris, a Glorious Egg Roll, so he goes by the name, like a nickname, Glorious Egg Roll, and then also Eggy, for those who don't want to say the whole thing of Glorious Egg Roll.
Yeah.
However, I decided that Glorious Egg Roll is not enough. So I started calling him Lord Glorious, the Duke of Egg Rolls.
Oh, that's
And,
perfect.
Or
I like
Glorious, the
that.
Duke of Egg Rolls. Does he really like egg rolls?
I think so, yeah.
I mean-
at this point, he has to.
Maybe at scale, we should bring a box of egg rolls to Glorious Egg Roll.
In
I
fact,
mean, everyone
maybe he
really
thinks
likes egg
they're
rolls, right?
glorious.
Yeah.
Probably.
So,
We should have him on the show and have an interview with him
Yeah,
later on,
absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah.
Michael,
I'll-
you've had so many conversations at this point with Shuttleworth. Do you guys have a secret handshake?
Yes.
Ooh.
I can't tell you what it is, otherwise it wouldn't be secret anymore. But
That's
yes.
so cool, man.
Aw.
You got the
Hey,
secret.
So
you
I
call
was
him
walking.
the shuttle. What's up, shuttle? You
No,
guys got short names?
No, I just walk by and say, "What's up, spaceman?"
Oh, that's
Man.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm sure he
Yeah,
likes
like
that.
So I was walking into the hall in the center, and I walked in, and Mark turned around, and I was like, "Yo, what's up?"
And you did
That
your
is
secret.
that is an
handshake.
exact quote, not at all exaggerating. It's not true.
Yeah,
It didn't
totally.
happen.
Sounds very
That didn't happen. Anyway.
So there's this, like a normal conference, there's tons of talks. I know you did a presentation this year. You did your
Yeah.
presentation on marketing. Now, when you did a presentation in the past, you've always done great presentations. I will give you that. You have had technical hiccups from time to time, including having to use a Chromebook one time to do your presentation.
That is true. Also, a
Which-
Chromebook about an
Caden
application. Yes, that wasn't on the Chromebook.
because his laptop did not have the correct port on it. It was a hilarious thing, but you made it work nonetheless. Did you have any technical hiccups this time, or did Ubuntu pull it off?
Yes, I did have technical hiccups, but the hiccup was actually not a big deal. I mean, technically speaking, it was issues with the slides,
Yeah.
and this was not a problem because my talk didn't really need slides. I wasn't actually going to use any of the slides, but I did have one slide that I wanted to put there, which was the tuxdigital.com website, and have that there the entire time. That was my goal. Unfortunately, that did not work out. And that also kind of ruined one of my jokes because my goal was to have that there the entire time for the full 30 minutes. And then at the end of it, I would say, and this is an example of marketing. You've been staring at this for 30 minutes, and it is probably steered into your brain now. So you're welcome. That was one of the things I was.
That's actually pretty good, but it actually didn't work.
It didn't. I didn't make the joke because it wasn't there at all the entire time.
Okay.
So that was a bummer.
So
but
did you just end it on a dance, like a Carlton dance right off the stage?
I said, everybody get up and join me. We're going to make a TikTok right now. I'll show you how marketing works. That's not happening.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah. Some of the stuff I'm saying is not true. That one is not true, but the rest of it. But there was a lot of fun in the talk because I told some stories, which is different from my previous talks. Usually my talks are related to the how and the what to do and the where to do it. And I still included those things, but I also added some stories about how I got into marketing, and it was really fun. And I got a lot of nice interaction with the crowd. And you can watch the talk coming up soon on the Ubuntu On Air channel. It might also be on my channel at some point. I'm not sure about that, when it might happen, but it was a lot of fun. And it was usually I kind of have like self-criticizing my talks and say like, oh, that didn't go as well as I wanted to. I was very happy with that talk.
Nice.
It's like 90% perfect to what I wanted.
Awesome.
There were occasions where I said something that didn't make sense. Like, for example, instead of saying tech savvy, somehow that word turned into savity. I don't know how, but it did.
Aw.
So, and also
Yeah,
exactly. When I said that, I even heard it myself and I was like, what? What does that even mean? So in the talk, you hear me reacting to my own nonsense. So that'll be fun.
Oh, that's so cool. You know what? One of my favorite moments in your last video you did, which was the third day from the Ubuntu Summit, was around 9 minutes in. And you talked about, all the things you wanted to do on Sunday and doing the interviewing and going to talks. Well,
Yep.
Of course, when you're working conventions, it's hard to go to talks. And
That's true.
I just thought that was a really nice transition you did. It was very meta.
Thank you.
From talking at the hotel to being in your studio editing.
Yeah, there was a part where what Jill's referring to, for those who haven't seen it, it's me talking about all the interviews that I want to do and all the talks I want to go to, and then realizing how much time is actually in a day, and then saying, I don't know if there's time to do these things and go to the talks.
Yeah.
And then I pull back a camera and then show me sitting at the editor section, and I know there was no time.
Yeah. No time for
and then they moved back. So it was fun. Check that video out, and also the new video coming out probably tomorrow. I think for day 4.
Hey, quit marketing, okay? This isn't your.
I
talk.
can't stop. Ryan. I
Jeez.
can't stop. It's an impossibility.
Okay. There was an
you know?
announcement there, and we're going to move on here, but a couple more questions. There was an announcement there that Ubuntu released, officially announced, I should say, the immutable desktop OS.
That's right. Ubuntu Core Desktop. Now, there's a live technical preview that you can check out if you want to that is available now. And it was very cool. And for those who are not familiar, the Ubuntu Core is a distribution of Ubuntu that is built entirely in snaps. And this is a version of the Ubuntu Core with desktop usage in mind, because the original Ubuntu Core is for IoT purposes. So if you want to try out what Ubuntu would look like in an immutable system, then the Ubuntu Core Desktop is something you should check out, because it's a very cool idea. As we talked about immutable in the community feedback, for applying that to Ubuntu, there's a lot of potential there. And if they do address this in the future, this might be a way for Ryan to get what he wants and so desperately wants, is to get hardware updates as fast as possible, because if they're immutable, you don't have to worry about the system breaking because it's all the same system.
Did you ask Spaceman if that's the case? I mean,
I did ask Spaceman if that. I don't know if he wants us to call Spaceman because I just made that up. So I did ask Mark Shuttleworth that question, and you can check out the interview for more information about that.
Nice. All right, dope.
And Michael, if someone plans on attending next year, what are some tips to get the most out of the event?
Don't interview people for a podcast.
Don't work the conference. Right?
Yeah, don't work there. That's a great way to use time more wisely, because I had so many things to do. But it was a lot of fun. I loved doing it, and I never stopped working. So at some point, at the end of day 2 of the conference, my feet were just killing me.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because my feet were killing me, and I was going back to the hotel to just kind of take a break. And then after 15 minutes of my break, I realized, oh, wait, the special presentation is in 10 minutes. I need to go. So I had to effectively brisk walk to the other hotel where the conference was, and then do the presentation. And then that was another extra hour and a half on my feet. So as you can imagine, my feet felt great after that.
Oh.
Yeah, I bet.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I learned some various different things about travel and what I would need to do. But I also learned some cool stuff about going forward when we go to conferences and stuff, how to do these things more efficiently and more effectively. So I will be deploying those in future conferences. Like, for example, get a backpack that has a roller wheels on it.
Yeah.
That's one. Also, have everything hooked up, ready to go whenever you can. I did start doing that on the last day, and I got a lot more stuff in there. So I interviewed Rudra from BerlinOS/Ubuntu Unity because of that, and a lot more. But I guess the tip for wanting to get the most out of it is to check out the timetables of all the talks you want to and favorite them, or put them in your calendar so you know exactly which ones to go to. I put all the talks in my calendar, and that didn't work out as well because it still was a little confusing. So put the specifics that you want to, and then you'll be able to navigate it much better. And also, the first day, go find out where the conference talk rooms are. Like the name, they're all special. Every time you go to them, they have a different different names for each room because they have special conference names. Like this was based on like Sigma, Lambda, Omega, stuff like that. So you need to find where these different rooms are, and that will make it a lot easier because
especially for people like me.
Yes, exactly.
I just follow Michael. I'm like, Michael, where are we going? Because Lord knows, even if I pre-planned, I would still be lost.
Yes. So Ryan will need a GPS for the events. But this was kind of funny because I was walking through the conference center. So all the talks there's like this center area, and then all the talks were around it in these various conference rooms. And then there was also some extra conference rooms on the side down the hallway. And I didn't know where my conference room was, but I was looking around really quickly, and I was walking through the center, and then I was like seeming like frantic, maybe hectic. And Popey asked me, he's like, "Hey, what talk are you going to? You seem to be rushed." And I was like, "Oh, mine." And they enjoyed that quite a bit. Yeah. So I was on time to my talk.
Nice.
Just to be clear.
But you almost weren't. It was Popey saved the day, basically.
Well, he didn't know where it was either. I just
By
had
the way,
to run
I
to
was
it.
invited to the Ubuntu Summit as well.
Yeah.
I attended. I just never found it. So that's why I don't have any stories.
First
to
of all,
share.
You made a left turn instead of a right.
Yeah.
all you had to do was walk down the street, and it was right there.
Yeah.
Like it was right there.
I just couldn't find it.
You could have also called me and told me. I didn't even know you were there. You know.
Yeah, the whole time. I was just
whole
walking
time.
in
He was
circles.
there in spirit.
So also, while I was there, I got a certificate of being a contributor to the summit.
Oh,
And you can see right there, it says,
nice.
because this is to certify that an above individual contributed to the Ubuntu Summit 2023. Thank you for joining us at the Ubuntu Summit and covering the event on your podcast, Destination Linux.
Oh,
Right?
Look at that.
Awesome.
We're big time now. We
We are
really made
big
it.
time.
Yeah.
Michael, I
All
am
right.
so proud of you. I am just
Thank you.
it was amazing all the things you were doing, and it just back to back to back, all the different events and the moderation you did and your talk.
We appreciate you
Yeah.
representing us so well, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would have done it too, but I was lost. So
By the way, they also had this wrap up video where it was like a montage of all this different stuff. And it shows me hosting the special presentation. And also at the very end, this is kind of silly, but at the very end of the video, there is a video of me just laughing hysterically. They end the video of me laughing hysterically.
Oh, great. That's appropriate.
And I thought that's funny because first of all, I didn't see anyone with a camera when it happened. I have no idea where it happened. But also the fact that it's just me laughing hysterically, like what good timing that was.
yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Well, we have to move on from the summit now and talk about
why software
I have so much
that
to
went
say.
missing.
I want to
Michael.
hear
It's
more.
missing.
I have so much to say.
Well, they've got to watch the videos. They've got to watch the
Oh,
video.
that's true. There is a vlog with lots
Check
of
out
more in there.
Michael Tennell's
Absolutely.
channel. He'll have all his videos and vlog adventures.
Oh,
Some up there
real
right
quick.
now for you to check out.
Real quick, I do want to tell you about this one piece. We went to the after party because I mentioned I was going to talk about that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
just real quick, there was an after party. It was awesome. So it was in this kind of, I don't know how to describe it other than like a club / bar / art deco installation. So everywhere you walk around, there's giant art pieces of various different things for the code names of the Ubuntu releases. So the Mantic Minotaur, there was wallpapers that are put up. There was also a lot of cool art from Sylvia Ritter. We talked about that, her art before on the show, because it's really cool art that is just very interesting interpretations of like digital art paintings versions of the various code names. And all of those were surrounding the thing, as well as some old wallpapers from like Hardy Heron days and stuff like that. It was a really cool experience. And also there's music playing the whole time. And I decided to be a crazy person and interview people with all of that music happening with the hope that the audio would be useful. And I did some adjustments to try to make it as good as possible. And I'm happy to say it was useful.
Yay!
There's even parts of me in the saying this is probably not going to work, but we're going to try it anyway. And there's a lot of cool interviews that I did do, like on the street, so to speak, at the after party.
Okay, stop your marketing. We get it.
I'm going to have
Check
that
out Michael
on my
Tennell's
channel so you can.
Subscribe. All right, got it. All right, let's get into.
For those who are curious, I did a talk about marketing. This episode of Destination Linux is sponsored by LINBIT. LINBIT has been keeping digital businesses running for over 20 years. They're the makers of open source products like DRBD, which is high availability software that has been part of the Linux kernel since 2010, and LINSTORE, industry-leading open source software-defined storage. LINBIT has an active presence in the open source community, and they collaborate with the community to help identify and build new features. LINBIT provides enterprise-grade software that runs on a variety of platforms and OSs without vendor lock-in. What that means is that you could use the software on any platform, including specific hardware that you want to use, or just off-the-shelf hardware that you get and connect it. All of this stuff can be interchanged really easily. And with DRBD and LINSTORE, you can have high-speed replicated block storage in almost any configuration, whether it's Kubernetes, Apache Cloud, or OpenNebula. There's even DRBD proxy for long-distance replication. LINBIT is run by its founders to this day, and all of its engineers and developers are in-house with offices in Europe and North America. which allows them to have global 24/7 support to complement their enterprise offerings. Visit linbit.com to learn more about the people behind LINBIT and the awesome software for block storage, duplication, and more.
Let's get into something I found on Reddit. Speaking of marketing. You market on Reddit? I think you can market on Reddit.
I can market anywhere.
There you go. Well, there was an interesting question I saw posed to the Linux community on /r Linux, which I tend to not really watch very much because it can be a pretty toxic place at times. But this question was not toxic. It was actually quite interesting to get the results. The question was, what is a piece of software that Linux desperately misses? And this question was posed from user, I think it's supposed to be Delinquent7. It's DELIQNT7. So awesome question. And so I took the comments because there was hundreds of comments there to this. And I ran them through a word cloud generator to kind of figure out, instead of having to try to manually tally them up or something, figure out what are the pieces of software people were talking about the most in their comment. So the first one was Microsoft Office was the most frequently mentioned of everything.
That makes sense, yes.
Yep. And specifically Excel. Excel was one of the big things. Word was mentioned a lot too, but Excel was like, hey, this is a piece of software that there really is no good replication for.
And for those who are curious, I still am very excited about spreadsheets. We need to do another tip in the future about spreadsheet stuff, because spreadsheets are cool. And Excel is better than the other alternatives for a variety of reasons, like formula stuff it can do and all that sort of thing. So it's not just a spreadsheet is not the same thing as saying Excel. There is a difference, and it would be fantastic to have Excel.
Excel's
on Linux.
Very powerful, and it's a very well written software. If somebody was to ask me, give me an example of software that Microsoft wrote that's amazing, I would be like Excel. Excel is literally amazing. In fact, in the interviews, I like to ask people what they feel their proficiency is in Excel. And I love when somebody says, I'm an expert at Excel. And I like to go with what part? The Visual Basic part of Excel, creating tables in Excel, formulas in Excel, presentations in Excel. Like, there's so much to this tool, right? Like, it's an amazing.
And also, there's people who say that and are not remotely expert.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Because there's not really a way to be an expert in Excel.
You can't.
There's
that's
so much.
That's the whole thing. There is no real. You can be expert in a part of Excel, but it's such a vast program.
Yeah.
And the competition is catching up and getting better, no doubt. There's some
Only
Google
Office
Docs.
is really good. LibreOffice spreadsheets are good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff, but it's still
Excel's the standard.
Yeah,
for sure.
What was the second thing that was on the list?
Adobe Photoshop. Shocking, right, Michael?
I can't believe that's on the list. How could that be there?
I know you'd have never guessed that. And people.
That was the first thing that came to my mind, of course.
Yeah. I figured that was going to be number one. I was surprised Excel was number one. And then I wasn't surprised, but I was surprised and then not surprised. And then Adobe came in and I was like, yeah, that's the one I expected to be at the top like you did. But then a lot of people were using your words, Michael, because people were coming back and saying, what do you mean? We've got GIMP. And people would say, yeah, but GIMP is destructive.
Right.
So that was the whole thing and several people had to explain what that means, which you've done multiple times on this show.
Yep.
And the whole idea is essentially, yes, GIMP is great, amazing software for some people. But when you look at the capabilities of what Adobe Photoshop can do, especially now with some of their stuff they're doing with AI, I don't know if you've seen some of their recent presentations.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it.
It's
next awesome.
Level.
There's first of all, Photopea has AI stuff too, by the way. It's not as good as the Photoshop AI stuff, but it's still cool that it's there, and it's also in a web app and all that. So for those who are watching or listening to the audio only version, there was a part where Ryan said that GIMP was amazing, and you might have saw my laugh and expression of disbelief. That's because I don't think it is amazing. It's good enough for most people, but also there are things that are better, even for stuff that's not made to be. In my opinion,
I was trying to be nice, Michael.
That's
trying to be like Jill. You say you want to be like Jill, and then you say little comments like that prove you're not.
Okay,
and I'm now closer to being Jill than you are because you're nasty about.
You also moved closer to Jill, so that's cheating.
That's true.
Yeah. But so I would say that Sorry, Jill, but I would say that GIMP is good enough for most people. It's just not really good, and it's not, and it's nowhere near good for professionals. It's not even on the docket to even be compared. But the reason why is because there are so many there's so many features that it's missing. And if it's been, I don't know how many years we've been talking about the next version of GIMP 3.0 coming out, and how long it's been on the it's coming soon sort of thing. But I did look it up today. GIMP 2.x was started in 2004. So it's been almost 20 years of the exact same code base. And that's why we've not had a lot of progress, because it's a project that needs a lot of help.
They need a lot more help, probably.
A lot of help
to make it.
They need some refactoring. And I know there's been a ton of work done by the current GIMP team, like the Gaggle work that they made, which is very cool. There's a lot of cool stuff there. But Photoshop is good, people. I don't like Adobe as much as the other people who, if you don't like Adobe, you get it the same way. No professional designer, no professional illustrator, no professional video editor.
Fans of Adobe.
They're not fans of Adobe. Adobe is a very successful company, despite most people who use their software not liking the company. And it's because the software they have is very good.
Yeah.
So, of course, GIMP and Photoshop are on the thing, but that's enough talking about Adobe products, because even though I like Photoshop,
I was about to throw up in my mouth.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, what was the next set of things that were on the list?
The next one was gaming, which I was like, really?
That's already there.
Gaming is like next level. But then I saw that right next to gaming was the mention of NVIDIA drivers, good NVIDIA drivers, and full gaming industry support. So, there's still big AAA games out there that people can't play on Linux, although for the most part, we've got an amazing library, unlike any time we've ever had in Linux. It gets
better and better. Yeah.
And it gets better every single year. So I think this is a huge improvement. But the NVIDIA drivers, I kind of get that.
I definitely get that, especially for a person who's a Resolve fan. I definitely get that.
Yeah, for sure. And then CAD was the last thing to come up. So a competent 3D CAD editor for engineering projects, somebody said.
Yes. Yeah. That's a very good one. There are
I think Nate mentions this too. Cubicle Nate. I know
so
he
FreeCAD is good. It's just not anywhere near as good as AutoCAD. And then, but there's also, I could be wrong about what it's called, but I heard from some people, I think Nate also, that there was a web app sort of solution called OnShape. I think that's what it's called, but it's like a FreeCAD. It's not actually it's not open source, but it allows you to have access to a good piece of software. So for those who need that, maybe check that out.
Interesting. And Michael, after hearing all of these, we're going to get into, is there anything we feel is missing off the list from the word cloud that I created here? But anything at the Ubuntu Summit, DreamWorks, any of that stuff make you think some of these things could be addressed?
I think there's a lot of potential for some of the stuff that was talked about to be applied, but not necessarily specifics. There was not anything about, NVIDIA didn't show up, or there wasn't anybody talking about how Photoshop could be put in and that sort of thing. But there were some really cool talks, like, for example, DreamWorks talking about Moonray and what it could be done, because it is made for rendering, right? But it's also a management tool for lots of data and being sent through a pipeline in a very streamlined way, but also in a very robust way. So it could be, in the interview, I talked to him about that, and he said that it could be used for a variety of different things, not just rendering, databases and stuff like that. It could be implemented into a lot of different things. So Moonray in itself is super interesting, that it could be applied to so many things, and could be, because it's open source and it's I'm pretty sure it's Apache license. It could be applied to a variety of different projects, and you'd have access to something that's being made by a very large company who loves open source. By the way, I asked a question to the DreamWorks guy. What operating systems do DreamWorks use for their rendering? And he said, strictly Linux.
Nice. That's what we love to hear.
Fantastic.
Loving it. Okay. So when I think about items that we're missing from the list, the very first thing that popped in my head was video editor. Kdenlive is great. And I made many of my videos and my first start on YouTube thanks to Kdenlive. So I love the software. Do not get me wrong. But there is a point where, and I'm happy it exists and I'm happy for everything they do. There gets a point where you want to take your videos to the next level. And this area is moving so fast because there's so many people getting into video production and creation that if you use something like DaVinci, you kind of realize how many options and features you don't get in Kdenlive. And that's okay. It's open source, it's free and all of those things. But I would like to see, DaVinci make themselves more available with Linux, easier to install, easier to utilize AMD drivers for in Linux, and those type of things. We don't really have even a proprietary option that's, easy. DaVinci is the closest thing we have on the Linux, but it's just not an easy install and to work with.
Yeah, if you have the right hardware, the right configuration, DaVinci Resolve is fairly straightforward. But if you do not have the right configuration, it is a pain, a big pain, and to the point where some people just give up and don't bother.
I remember giving DaVinci quite a mouthful in prior episodes.
Especially considering you could just make a flat pack Blackmagic design.
I actually write that every time I download their software.
I do every time.
Register, I write, please make a flat pack. And they probably have no idea what we're talking about, but,
it's kind of funny. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that.
Or a snap.
Or a snap, whatever. I don't care what you use.
Or an app image.
Okay, I actually do care if you don't use that
see,
one.
Gotcha.
Okay, I don't care if you use Snap or Flatpak, okay? And for those who don't get yelled at me in the comments, I'll explain it. App images don't have a security system and they don't have updating. That's why. Not because they're bad. It's a bad format. It doesn't have critical things that if you want to say, hey, giant company, put your effort into a format, at least it needs to have updating. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
we do have Lightworks, which is good too.
Yeah.
Lightworks is good. I think Lightworks is a great editor, but DaVinci Resolve is kind of in its own league right now.
Yeah,
it doesn't really have
it's more closer to Premiere and Final Cut, I feel like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe even better in some ways,
Yeah.
For color management for sure.
Oh yeah.
Jill, what do you think is missing from the Linux desktop? I know you love everything and everyone, but you got to feel like sometimes there's something missing.
Whoa. Ryan, you're saying that Jill loves everyone, everything and everyone. Jill, you love Adobe?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Look,
see?
oh, wow. Adobe, that right there should make you change your ways.
In fact,
you can't even get Jill to say that she likes you, and she likes everybody.
Oh.
She just wagged her
Adobe.
finger. Let her go. Go, Jill. Go.
In fact, I would like that Corel Draw and Corel Photo Paint were back on Linux. That's so we have that.
That's
back.
how much you dislike Adobe.
Yes.
Yeah, and Paint Shop Pro.
Yeah, Paint Shop Pro is awesome, and in fact, it was ahead of Adobe Photoshop for many years in a lot of areas.
I used Paint Shop Pro for a while.
Yeah. So another thing I would like is as you guys have been talking about is another non-linear video editor, another professional tool like Avid or Final Cut. DaVinci Resolve is absolutely incredible and Lightworks is good, but there needs to be another competitor in the Linux space that is industry standard, whether it's proprietary or not. We just need more options in that
I love
space.
that part.
Yeah.
That is a very important part because Jill said whether it's proprietary or not, there are a lot of people who will refuse something that's proprietary, and I understand your perspective, but that doesn't mean that the platform shouldn't have proprietary software because it's very important to get software on the platform that people want to use so that they're willing to use the platform. Once you have the people and the software on the platform, then you can proselytize the idea of open source and that sort of stuff. That is a good approach. The refusal to ever accept anything proprietary is a great way to never get any growth.
Yeah, it takes people time to see the community get involved and kind of understand that. What else, Jill?
Well, we have so many other great tools for 3D animation like Blender, Maya, Modo, but we're just lacking professional video editors and motion graphics tools. That's another one.
The only motion graphics we have, I guess, is the Fusion.
Fusion from DaVinci. Yeah.
Interesting. Those are good ones. Michael, is there anything you feel is missing from the list?
Text editors. I think we.
Yo, gosh, yes. We need another good point, Michael. I didn't even think about that. We need another text editor.
We need more text editors. Exactly.
Yeah. Please hear us. All right. And I want to mention one of our patrons, Chris, who's watching the show live, mentioned his dad loved WordPerfect. My dad loved WordPerfect as well. I loved WordPerfect as well. That was a great program back in the day.
Yeah. And you could
It
use
was
it on
really
Linux.
good in the 90s.
Yeah.
Back in the day. That's what I said. Back in the day.
But it still exists now. It still exists.
Yeah.
Does it still exist?
Yeah. Yeah. They released like a year ago. They released a new version, at least.
Yeah. And
that's like Apple has an Office suite, right? But I don't think anybody on the planet uses it.
no,
Oh, it's annoying.
Pages or whatever.
Yeah, Pages.
Yeah,
It's
Pages.
annoying
That
because
was-
it's not even really like a full Office suite. It's like a combination of things.
Yeah.
I think Apple does make some good products, but and their software sometimes is fantastic, but sometimes they just kick themselves in the face.
That thing. I don't think they update it much at all.
Oh,
But there is something that did just get a big update.
Yes. So Valve actually really surprised us today with something new. A new Steam Deck with an OLED screen.
Oh my gosh. It's so beautiful.
I love my original
Precious.
Steam Deck. In fact, I always have this handy thing at my side. And
Yes.
but now I really want the OLED version of the Steam Deck. And it's not just that. There are a ton of new features that uplifted the Steam Deck. Not just the beautiful 1280 by 800 HDR OLED display. The new Steam Deck boosts much longer battery life with a 50 watt hour battery and 3 to 12 hours of gameplay depending on content. And Valve was saying the battery should charge faster and last up to 50% longer. That's what we want to hear. This is so exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's even a new AMD APU, which is much faster and more efficient than the first gen Steam Decks. This combined with the more power-friendly OLED display helps the battery life tremendously on the Steam Deck. And the other cool thing is despite the processor being the same speed, I know for all of those of you out there that were waiting for the Steam Deck 2 and a faster processor, we didn't get one directly, but it's the same speed as the original Steam Deck. But some games do run faster because of the much faster APU. So it was updated, just not
Nice.
not
completely.
Not completely.
There's new hardware, but not a full set of new hardware.
Correct.
Which is interesting because it makes a little bit of sense. So Valve mentioned they were not going to do a full new version like a Steam Deck 2 or whatever for like a few years.
Yeah.
And this new version shocked everybody.
It did.
So it's kind of like an iterative update, but it's not one of those updates where you're disappointed by that.
Yeah, this is
because
huge.
what they chose to put in is very, very exciting.
The OLED's a big deal. So people who don't know what we mean when you kind of mention OLED out there, because not everybody's geeks like us, right? They might be just getting it. They might be just getting their geek card.
Yes.
So that's organic light emitting diode, right? So different than what the other technologies that you'll see with screens out there. Everything you want.
This is the kind of LED you would get from Whole Foods.
Yeah, organic. Yeah, you get an organic one from Whole Foods.
That was good.
So the organic part is very important though, because this is what makes
Yeah.
OLED so special, right? Because it uses organic compounds in order to produce the colors. And what does that actually do? And that's like unlike all the other screen technology we're talking about. What that does is create this incredible saturation with the black.
Yes.
So the blacks just pop and the colors just represented are so much more vibrant. And when you think about playing on a small screen like that, that becomes way more vital than even on your big monitors and things, because you've got very tiny details that you want to be able to differentiate between each other with all of the shading and colors and things that you're utilizing there. So this is a big deal, putting an OLED screen in here. But then what generally happens, you put a higher quality screen in, you get less battery, but they thought about that. And then you also have some heat dissipation problems that you could have to deal with, but they upgraded that as well. And it's like, Valve just gets it. Like they don't just release something for the sake of, like, I think a normal company, the moment that they had all these competitors coming out, because look how many companies have come and gone because you don't hear about their devices anymore, and tried to steal from the success of the Steam
They
Deck.
saw the Steam Deck and then they were like, we have to copy this.
Yeah, you've all of a sudden got all these new players releasing their version of this gaming console, and they put OLED screens in and they were doing all this stuff, but they just didn't have the same community that Steam's created. Number one, their library of games, and the cost for getting games is so attractive to so many people because even if you don't have a huge library, the sales and things in Steam is unlike anywhere else. You go to a PlayStation store, rarely a game on sale. Nintendo, forget about it. And then you look at, Steam, and you could get games for 99 cents that were $59.99, 6 months ago and things. So, it's just, there's a lot of deals there, but they also thought about, hey, when we pair this hardware together, how's it all going to actually work?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're putting this higher end screen in, then we need a bigger battery. And if we're putting all these additional components in, we need better heat dissipation. And so I just love what they did here. It makes me happy. They make me happy.
Oh, absolutely. And there's also faster downloads with the more powerful Wi-Fi 6E chip. It like doubles the speed of the download. Almost honestly goes more than double. Yeah. And there's something very near and dear to our hearts here on Destination Linux as Linux geeks. We have
muffins.
Better, besides muffins and cupcakes, we have better repairability on this.
Oh, yes,
Steam
that.
Deck.
Yes. Which the original one had good repairability. And upgradability. So this is even better.
Yeah, there are even metal threads now on the shell for screwing the screws into instead of plastic. And Valve actually reduced the number of different types of screws, which means less, fewer tools needed. And there is less glue on the back of the battery, so it is more easily replaceable.
I hope Pine 64, who I adore and love, takes notes because I had been known to screw a screw through the plastic case of a Pine laptop because they didn't have the metal threads in there to stop it from continuing through. And I get a little torque happy.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah.
A little torque happy.
A little bit torque happy.
Yeah.
One of the other major things, and a lot of people
also,
don't.
Wait a minute. Didn't you do that on a live stream?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. We should find the clip for that.
Right through the frame. I don't think you can actually see it on the live stream though.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a bummer. Yeah. I think you realized it after the fact or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay.
Wow. There's also a dedicated digital signal processor, which takes the load off the APU for audio processing, resulting in much better sound quality and haptics. And a lot of people have had issues with their Steam Decks, particularly with the sound when sometimes playing certain games of it, having some skipping or having issues. Yeah. Although a lot of that has been fixed with software. But now that there's a separate DSP processor,
that's big.
Gone. Yeah.
You can hand it off.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to worry about it. Yep. So if you're playing a game that's putting that Steam Deck to its limits, right? The sound is not going to be an additional factor that's going to start bugging out. That's cool.
Absolutely. And
so this has to be starting at, let's see, your average cell phone now is $999. So let me guess. You're getting an entire OLED screen, this giant gaming device, $1,200, Jill?
No, $549 for the 512 gigabyte SSD OLED. It's basically the same price as they were before. With
Michael,
$20 to
I think the company needs to order
difference on some of them.
I don't think the company needs. So first of all, the prices are the same. So if you look at the difference between the 512 last version and this version, it's the same. But the ones that cost more have more storage.
Yeah.
And they also have a limited edition version, which has the translucent etched glass, which is kind of cool. And they also have, I think the limited edition is there's more features, like a carrying case with all sorts of stuff. So that's more expensive because but it's also not that much more expensive. You're only paying an extra $30 for that.
True.
So, that's pretty cool. But the extra terabyte, this terabyte storage is very important because you both got the cheaper mid-tier version.
Whoa.
And
Don't call my mid-tier cheap.
You both got the lesser of the options in your
Mr. Mighty Pants over here.
But I solved
got
that
the
by
512 version, which also means I could put more storage in it, Jill, and have even more. And I realized this is very important when I started adding more and more games, and it said you still have 100 gigs left of game storage. Like, fantastic.
Yeah.
So that means I put in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But when I saw how much was left, I was excited because I needed an extra 50 and I had plenty.
Nice.
So this is very cool that the base model of this OLED version is the same as the 512 from previous. And if you want the OLED, it makes sense that they have to charge more so they get you that tier. But if you still want to get the LCD version and don't want to spend as much money, you can still do that. They still are offering that at the lower tier.
At $399 for the LCD screen version of the Steam Deck right now?
They dropped the price on that one because that was the
freaking
it's not
steal.
The 64 gig, it's 256 gigabyte default.
That's a great Christmas gift, folks.
That is a good. So the mid-tier one dropped down to the baseline.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome.
By the way, if you want to get me and Jill a Christmas gift, you could send us, not Michael, he doesn't deserve one, an OLED.
Yay!
OLED Steam Deck. Yeah, we would appreciate that. Michael wouldn't, because he's already got the top tier of the other generation, and me and Jill just have the old tier.
If you wanted to send it to me as a present, I would absolutely appreciate it. However, I will say something now that will make both of you go, what? And that is, I will not be purchasing the new Steam Deck version to replace my current Steam Deck because I don't have the need for it. It looks
that's
awesome,
the right way to look at things, Michael. It's also boring, but it's the right way to look at things.
It's also boring. Fair enough.
So
I would love to have it, but I have a Steam Deck already.
Yeah.
I spent a significant amount of money to get it. It accomplishes what I needed to do.
Okay, we get it. We get it, Mr. Boring.
If Michael gets one, it just will sit in the box for too long anyways, Ryan.
Jill, how dare you?
Ooh.
You're not wrong. Except for the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck I did open.
You made Jill so mad. She's firing shots at you, Michael, over this.
Because you got your Steam Deck after me and Ryan did, and you were waiting a long time.
You had to wait.
Yeah.
And before we could talk about it on the show, because mine didn't show up for like a couple months or something. So I did take it out immediately, but most of the time I do not. And that is typical. That is true. But I got a bunch of gear and tech for the Ubuntu Summit travel.
Nice.
And I opened it all the same day. Are you proud of me, Ryan?
Oh, I am proud.
We'll have to see what was the tech. We'll get through that in another episode. Don't tell me here.
So much. Okay.
All right, Jill, take us into our software spotlight this week.
Yeah. So are you looking for a privacy-focused, end-to-end encrypted, open source email service? Well, then check out Skiff.
She hadn't even finished the question yet.
She had me at looking for. I'm always looking for something.
Are you looking for? Yes.
Skiff has been all the rage. I've been hearing it talked about in a lot of places online, including on Reddit. So Skiff offers encrypted email, calendar, documents, and files that give you the power to communicate freely. And they also have features like creating aliases and a mobile app for Android and iOS. And for your desktop, there is a flat pack available too that is developed by the community. And now that is really cool. And if you're looking for something other than Tutanota, which I love, or Proton
Which is now
Mail,
just Tuta, by the way.
Yeah,
they just renamed themselves.
So it's easier to say now. It's Tuta.
That's a good change. I like it.
Yeah. So if you're looking for something other than Tuta or Proton Mail, you might want to check out Skiff's offerings. I was really impressed. I actually created a email address with it to test it out, and it was
my
really
problem
quite
is
amazing.
Not needing another email address. I have email addresses like Michael has domain names.
Yeah,
like it's too many. There's just
no, you don't.
Too
I
many.
Have way more domains than you. I probably have more emails than you too.
Oh yeah, you actually check your emails. I just complain about mine and never look at them. But the point is, I just emails. There's a lot of email.
I know.
There's a lot
Yet
of email.
another
But
email.
I like their website.
Yeah.
I like what they're trying to represent. Michael might even be impressed with some of the marketing that they've been doing lately. Although they should probably sponsor this show if they really want to show their marketing chops.
They should probably sponsor this show.
Saying.
They really want to prove how good they are at marketing.
Yeah. I mean,
they do. They should consider
then
that.
I might switch. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Also, they have got in touch with us, so I'm curious about what what's potential there. So we'll see what happens there.
Hello, Skiff.
Hey, Skiff. So this is very interesting, and it's also there's some services that are in this space that are very intriguing, but there's always something that kind of bothers me about them sometimes. Like, for example, I'm not going to specific terms, but there's issues with alias sometimes where you have to pay a lot for a various amount of aliases, and I love the fact that the default base level package of $3 a month has unlimited aliases.
Oh, that's very nice.
That is fantastic.
That's a really good call out there.
15 gigabytes of storage, which I was really impressed. They have really good cloud storage as well. They're not. It's not like other email clients that you have to pay another service to use cloud storage. It's nice. It's integrated.
Yep.
Our tip of the week this week is related to security and encryption, because it's not just
use Skiff.
I mean, that's the software spotlight,
legitimate.
right?
Oh, my bad. Okay.
So this is a different segment, although you still could. It is a tip of the week in a sense. So I'll give you like a half credit there.
Oh, nice.
But we're talking about something more related to two-factor authentication, because it's not a great idea to have a password manager that has all of your secrets and your 2FA in the exact same app. You can do this, and it's also not necessarily a terrible idea, but it's not the best idea, because it's good to have a separation. So whether you're using Proton Pass or Bitwarden, there you can use something called Aegis. I think that's how you say it. It's a way to have a two-factor authentication that's open source, so you can use for your 2FA in place, which will help provide an extra layer of security for your accounts. And it's really good because for those who are curious what is special about Aegis, well, some of the applications that offer two-factor authentication require you to only open the application. And that's good if you have your phone already, available and you've already unlocked it and that sort of stuff. But if you have, maybe accidentally unlocked it and just left it for a second, because some people have like a timeout system, anyone could just open the application and boom, they have your 2FA. Where in this case with Aegis, they have a thing where you can set up an extra step where you can have a PIN code to it, or you can have a biometric fingerprint reader or something like that. So they took into consideration to add extra steps to even have more security attached to it. So I appreciate that. And there's other reasons that you can check out. I mean, obviously open source is ideal.
There you go.
But there are some other open source options, Ryan. I just wanted to say that there's some cool stuff they did in Aegis that I appreciate, because it's a combination of adding security and modern feel to an application. And it's well designed.
It's open source.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Ryan. It is also open
source. Thank you. All right, cool. Now, let's talk about where you'll get to meet Jill and also Michael and me. If you come...
And it's open source.
It's open source. Yes. If you come to Scale 2024, which is scheduled for March 14th through the 17th, it's 2024, not 2023. We're already past that. It's done. We're talking 2024 now.
It's right around the corner, people.
Right around the corner. March 14th through the 17th at the Pasadena Convention Center in Pasadena, California. Conveniently.
Thank you.
And thankfully, you'll see me at this event because I'll be following Jill around and I won't get lost too much. And Michael.
That's actually true for me too, because this building is pretty huge, and Jill has been there many times and knows where to go. So we will probably
use the penguin hat.
So also, first of all, I did get lost the first time in the Pasadena place, because there's two buildings in this place. There's one building on the left, another building on the right, and they didn't, but at the time they both didn't say scale on them. So I didn't know that I was supposed to go for one building specifically for the registration or whatever. And I got confused for a bit, but there was a lot of nice people around to help me out. And then luckily for Ryan, when he got there, I just gave him the details.
Yeah.
You did.
And,
You gave me
you know,
the deets. I
the deet-
appreciate
I
it.
almost said deets, and then I felt maybe I shouldn't say deets.
Hey, man, we got to be down with the kids.
We are
too,
hip.
You know?
We are
Yeah,
hip.
we're very
Hello,
hip.
fellow kids.
Love fellow kids. All right. So check us out at Scale. Set your calendars. Get your trip ready to go hang out with us there. And a big thank you to each and every one of you for supporting us by watching or listening Destination Linux. However you do it, we love your faces. Come help be a part of the show by either joining in our community. I mean, you're going to need to do that either way. You need to join our community. And we have a Discord community set up at tuxdigital.com/Discord. That's tuxdigital.com/Discord. You get to come hang out with other people in the community and network. You know, this is an amazing opportunity to network with people all around the open source community and all kinds of different industries and things there. And if you want to support this show and keep it going, you know, the person who commented earlier that they've been listening to the show for 4 years and more and wants many more years to come. You know who makes that happen, Michael? The patrons.
Yeah,
Patrons.
Yeah,
we
true.
love you.
Because, you know, advertisers, we love them, but they come and go. But patrons have been supporting us through all of these years before we ever had advertisers. And even when we have moments in the market when things lull and stuff, our patrons are always there lifting us up. So help support this show, help keep it alive. Go and become a patron of Destination Linux.
Yes, absolutely. Patrons are so important to making the show. And if you want to become a patron, you can go to tuxdigital.com/membership to become one. And you get a ton of cool perks, like being able to watch this show live and also join us in the patron-only post show that happens every week after the show, and a bunch of other perks.
When do we record, Michael? People need to...
That's a good question. We record on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and 4 p.m. Pacific. There we go. And if you're in Europe, sorry. So,
Just be a late night, early morning.
Exactly. But so there's also a lot of other perks that you get. For example, there's a patron-only section of our Discord server that you can get access to. And there's also unedited versions of the show. So if you're not able to join us live, you can still watch the full unedited version, which is also ad-free in the patron-only sections. And there's a lot more. So go to tuxdigital.com/membership. And earlier, Ryan was talking about being able to join the community. And we have a Discord server, but we also have a forum. You can go to tuxdigital.com/forum and join that as well. And there's a lot of cool people that hang out there. And there's also a subset of people who are in both. And there's people who just hang out in the forum. And
really cool people are in both.
Exactly. It's true. You should join both if you wanted to. If you want to be cool and not a pen chewer, right?
Exactly. I don't want to be a pen chewer. God forbid.
Also, if you'd like to get some swag and support the show in other ways, you can go to tuxdigital.com/store and get all sorts of cool stuff. We have hats, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs,
Jill bought
stickers.
a dress.
Yes.
Jill brought a dress. In fact, yes, there's so many cool things. Go to tuxdigital.com/store to get all of that and more.
And make sure to check out all the incredible shows here on Tux Digital. That's right, we have an entire network of shows to fill your entire week with geeky goodness. Make sure to check out Linux Out Loud with Matt, Nate, and Wendy having a blast and sharing their awesome passion for Linux and open source. And everyone head to tuxdigital.com and subscribe to all these incredible shows. And don't forget to leave a rating on your favorite app so others can discover the power of open source and keep those penguins marching in the full Monte of Linux and open source awesome sauce. Everybody have an incredible week. And remember that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Kino night.
Kino night.
Dynamite, Kino night.
Nice.
Yes.
Great callback.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next week.